All right, Paul, we have our King of the Ring finalist in Obafemi defeating Dominic Mysterio. Not a surprise. Even Corey Graves, big Dom fan, said, "I'm talking Dom up on his way to the ring because he's going to get crushed by Oba tonight." The AAA Mega Champion, not a mega threat to Oba, but they managed to get more than 5 minutes of delightful running and bumping out of both Dom and JD. We got a swing of a ring bell. We got a low blow. Oba took a bump. He kicked out at 1. It's exactly what, if you understand Obafemi and Dom Mysterio and WWE's way of telling stories, it is exactly what was going to happen, and frankly, exactly what should have happened. Predictable is not bad. Dom's at a stage of his career where this is what he does, and it is a blast watching it. And man, I mean, the headline is Oba just continues to look impressive. It was brief, but that post-match promo calling out Brock Lesnar, it was just, I mean, I don't like Goldberg comparisons. They've been made way too many times over the last, couple decades. But if Gene Okerlund held the microphone up to Goldberg and he spoke for the first time after his winning streak, and that's the confidence and charisma and likability, WCW would still be in business. I mean, like, Oba's just that impressive. And I mean, he had a lot going for him, in NXT, no question about it. Kelly Wells wasn't alone. I mean, anybody watching him saying his praises, but you don't know till you're on the big stage, and you don't know until you're sharing the ring and a storyline with somebody at Brock Lesnar's level, if you have it. And I said it last week, I'm underlining it and putting it in bold and increasing font size each week. He is the next big centerpiece star of this business. But they still have an Obafemi problem because they got to have opponents for him. The NBA does not have a Wemby problem. Well, they do because he's a poor sport and a bad attitude with a temper and immature in ways nobody realized till he started losing in the playoffs. But I thought the NBA had a Wemby problem. Who's going to stop this guy? He's 7'4". It's unfair. They got 2 other great players, 2 other great young players. And, well, the Knicks, congrats to the Knicks. I know a lot of people on the Torch, in the Torch realm, are very happy about that. I am too, happy for Karl Anthony Towns. But the NBA does not have a Wemby problem yet. WWE has an Obafemi problem that I'm not too worried about right now. They just need to be sure to plan ahead. Paul, I did a lot of talking there. Tell me, am I gushing too much about Oba?
I totally agree with you. This is exactly what it should have been. It was fun. It was really pulling out all the stops and putting over Oba. It was not bending over backwards to try to protect Dom or to protect JD in any way. They were ragdolls. It reminded me of when Bobby Heenan fought the Ultimate Warrior in a weasel suit match, and it was such a mismatch. Fans just couldn't wait to see the big face tear him apart. It was just what tricks and shenanigans he would try to avoid it. But I thought it was just long enough. It was fun, but once Oba got his hands on him, it was over. And that, as you said, precisely what it should have been.
Paul, you have successfully distracted me from Obafemi. I'm now imagining that when JD McDonough's in-ring career is over, he's going to be the next Bobby Heenan. He's going to be the next Bobby. He's going to be the next top-tier, obnoxious manager who takes, because Bobby Heenan still, I mean, people talk about Ray Stevens or Shawn Michaels or Nick Bockwinkel, the great bump takers. Bobby Heenan was the best bump taker I've ever seen. He, straight into the cartoonish side a little bit, but it fit his character, his body type, and his role. But it wasn't like Shawn Michaels bumping for Hulk Hogan cartoonish. It was the fans delighted in it. And yeah, JD is just talented enough to be that manager someday. So I will rein myself in from that crystal ball look into the future. You said they weren't protecting Dom and JD, and I know what you mean, and I agree essentially with that. But in a way, they were protecting them. They were giving JD and Dom a chance to be JD and Dom, delightfully so. Like, who doesn't want to pay to see them get beat up? Like, that wasn't. I'm trying to that wasn't Austin Theory being, like, oh, we're protecting Austin Theory as he gets squashed by Oba. Like, yeah, you want to protect Austin Theory because, they want him to be a credible tag champ, maybe a credible, he's having a good couple weeks here. And so, I just throw his name out there. Like, if he's a heel opponent, yeah, you want to protect him. But Dom's going to be a babyface someday, and none of this will matter. But right now, protecting Dom is letting him take wild bumps, be sneaky, in every Eddie Guerrero-esque way possible as a heel, and JD as the Bobby Heenan-esque side, sidekick is what I said. Sidecar in my head. Sidekick. It worked, and it was. I mean, when people look at the brackets and go Dom against Oba, it's fait accompli. What's going to happen here? Well, yeah, but don't you want to tune in and see it? Oba was great. So,
I think there's not enough just real squashes in WWE where one competitor just dominates another, and that's what we got tonight. And I, like the old Ultimate Warrior defeating Honky Tonk Man. It's memorable and it makes things so a little less predictable. And so so big thumbs up.
Yep. So we have the candidates for the final being Jey Uso and Javon Evans. And they told the story. They told it with Charlotte, too, where there's an injury. Like, Charlotte has a hand injury. So they're kind of saying, maybe that's why she'll lose in the semis. They plant the seed. And if you're not, it's almost a giveaway, but every once in a while it isn't a giveaway. So there's enough suspense there. But the Javon impromptu match against Austin Theory, PWTorch just sneaks in. This is a big beating to take just days before you've got to battle Jay. So, when we talk about protecting wrestlers, I don't think they want Jay to beat Javon clean and decisive, but I also think they're looking for a way to not just have interference cost Javon. So if you're thinking through the WWE writers' room and how they tell stories, they want to shake things up when there's an opportunity, and a tournament's a way to, or it's not even a tournament match. It's just, a grueling tournament, you can't tell the story that somebody's beat up in the tournament. Darby, that was the story in AEW. He's taking on too many title defenses. He'll be vulnerable when MJF gets to him. So I think they were planting that seed, and it makes sense. But I'm still not sure. In terms of I'm not sure what story they're going to tell with Oba and Jay, and I'm not ruling out Jay winning because of Brock. Oba called out Brock at the end there and said, I thought you'd show up tonight. That's kind of a way of saying, I think you'll show up in the final. And if he does, he might just beat up Oba after Oba wins. But he might cost him the match. And then Jay becomes king, and then Jay gets a big head. And then they do set up Jay and Cody. So yeah, Paul, walk me through what's going through your head as far as how the king I was going to say the men's side of the king. The other one is a queen. So the king of the ring goes.
So I worry that might have been a tell at the end when he's, it's clear Brock's got to get involved at some point. He keeps calling out Brock. I noticed one of the signs in the audience was about Brock Oba. The focus, he's not talking about Jay. He's not looking at the champion that he's going to face, Roman or whoever. He's focused on Brock still. And even though I think that Javon Evans, and I've seen Javon Evans wrestle Oba Femi before, and they have fantastic chemistry, I don't think it's the right time to have these two go up against each other. I think it would dim a little of the enthusiasm for Oba, or just sort of he would squash Javon. I just don't like that matchup. What makes more sense to me is Jay wrestling against Oba, and Brock costing him the match, because if I think that's more likely than the alternative, which is Oba wins and then maybe Brock costs him his match against Roman.
Yeah. And what we have are, in WWE's laid the groundwork. We have matches where, I'm assuming Jay goes to the final. So if it's Jay against Oba in the final, they've talked about Jay wanting Cody. They've talked about Oba would face Roman. They've talked more about Jay than Cody, but it's sort of just a given. In both, my point is, we've talked about both matches. Either match could be a match both might be a match at SummerSlam. Could be a main event or co-main event match at SummerSlam. So we do have, in that sense, a compelling final. And with Javon taking a beating tonight, and the spear from Braun that cost, was a DQ finish, he's going to go into that beat up. So, I think we have a suspense going into the final. We didn't have suspense going into tonight. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I do think, by the way, with the injury angle, I think the WWE is a pretty good job of they use it to protect wrestlers at times, but oftentimes wrestlers win regardless. Like tonight, Charlotte had hurt her hand and yet still managed to do a one-handed, figure four, figure eight against and win.
But she also did a handspring clothesline while she was selling her wrist and hand. Like, come on, if there's a move that gives away that you're not really hurt, I mean, if this were real, she would not do it, or she would collapse under the weight of her own handspring. So it's just,
And while we're on the topic, that move looks bad. She pulled it off tonight, but it looks bad more often than it looks good. I think that should be retired.
She usually comes to a complete stop and then does a half-speed clothesline afterwards. And Yep. All right. Got a lot of Bloodline stuff to talk about. Danhausen featured heavily in a couple of contexts. The chat is alive with a lot of comments also. Real legend, by the way, I'll just throw this up. I think we might get Oba doing double duty at SummerSlam. Now, you want to sell some tickets. Do Oba Brock and Oba Roman back-to-back nights. I don't think they'll do that. But yeah, if Oba faces Roman, Brock gets the winner, or Brock just gets Oba, but it's a title shot. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll do that. I think, in fact, Darrell, who's going to join us as a caller in a moment, says Oba Brock at MSG. Now that the Knicks won the title, WWE's going to want to set up a major show. MSG is a special place. I don't think they'd do Brock in Oba at a Saturday night's main event if it was in a different city, but the MSG one is special enough. I think you can circle that on the calendar as an option that would then allow you to entertain the notion that Oba will take on Roman at SummerSlam. No spoilers. I don't know, but I don't want any. I just let's watch it play out.
Yeah.
Let's watch it play out. Okay, let's pause and introduce ourselves, and then we'll get on to chat comments, callers, and other conversation on other segments on the show. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Monday, June 15th, 2026. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, founder of Pro Wrestling Torch, the newsletter, the website, and a bunch of podcasts. We have a VIP membership if you want to get everything that we do, including commercial-free versions of all of our free shows. That includes the Worse or Better edition of the PWTorch Daily Cast that dropped today, with a look at whether announcing and commentary is better now than it was in past eras. I'm looking forward to Stephanie and Joshua's discussion on that. Also, Nick Barbatti with a really fun interview with the author of a new book on Gino Hernandez. I've started to read that book. I love that era, and I'm a big fan of Gino Hernandez. I reference him often when comparing wrestlers to heels who were like Gino back in the 80s. That interview, by the way, was part of Nikki's Club, our VIP exclusive podcast I think it dropped on Thursday or Friday, but we're going to add that to the Wade Keller post-show flagship with Jason Powell tomorrow for everybody. So it'll be available for free, that interview with the author of the Gino Hernandez book. It is a really fun conversation about Gino's career to an extent, but rumors and innuendo about Gino and his background and all this. So really good stuff. And so I'll talk more about that. Certainly in the flagship tomorrow with Jason. By the way, speaking of the flagship tomorrow, if you have questions or comments or rants or topic suggestions for Jason and me, we're recording earlier than usual tomorrow, so get your questions in right away. WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com. WadeKellerPodcast@gmail.com. Jason and I will cover a lot of topics. That is our blue logo show, by the way. That is not, if you're watching us on YouTube, this is a post show. It's our red logo show. You can also subscribe as a podcast and get not only the YouTube shows, but other episodes that are not on YouTube on that feed. Search Wade Keller. When you search Wade Keller, you'll see the red logo for the post shows, but also the blue logo. Subscribe to that, and that includes our audio-only, podcast-only version of the weekly flagship. That also includes media Q&As, pay-per-view previews, interviews, and more, including some flashbacks going back 5, 10, 15 years. It is free. If you go VIP, then it's commercial free. The commercials are taken out, so it's a nice streamlined listening experience to listen to the Wade Keller shows and also the daily casts, different show each day of the week with different hosts. I think we're gonna have a new show to announce in the next week or two for the lineup of the daily cast also. And what was I gonna say about all that? Oh, so if you want to go VIP, pwtorch.com pwtorch.com/govip. It's our website, pwtorch.com/govip. Of course, I encourage you to visit pwtorch.com for articles every day. Pull yourself away from social. I won't keep doing this, but we're all, not all of us. So many of us are addicted to that dopamine rush of a bunch of random people, including AI bots and who knows what. It's ephemeral. It's a dopamine rush. We're addicted. These bricks are slot machines in your pocket, and they have addicted you. Expand your attention span. Settle in on a website. People are going retro. They're going back to their like iPods right now, trying to disconnect from streaming. I've got like all of them out. I'm kind of joining in, and it is. I'm not kidding either. Like I have so many versions of my old. This one, by the way, is loaded with a ton of super cool wrestler hosted podcasts. I even have it labeled on the back podcast. It's not my music iPod. Like almost every Steve Austin podcast is on here. Colt Cabana's old interview. So I'm going to like listen to that. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. Read articles. Like they take 3 to 8 minutes, to read an article, and it's from somebody who you can trust. They have been vetted by me. They're part of the Torch team. It's a real wide variety of formats and articles. They're edited. They're well written. They will make you think. Also on that, we have live coverage of pay-per-views, PLEs, and TV shows. I do the Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown reports. We have a great team covering the other shows. And also flashbacks going back 15 years, 5, 10, 15 years. The Raw and Dynamite, or the Raw and Nitro flashbacks from 15 years ago are up, or from 30 years ago, excuse me. The podcasts go back 15 years. The TV reports go back 30 years. Lots of other cool stuff. So check out pwtorch.com. Create that bookmark. Make a mental note. Check it out every day. Paul Weigle is my co-host. Am I saying your last name right? I'm always insecure. Weigle?
Yeah, nailed it.
Good. You have a cool column that you do every week. Talk about your rising fading stars.
Sure. So I write the WWE Rising and Fading Stars column, where I track the fortunes, good and bad, of performers and who outperformed their push each week and who's failing. So I have a lot of fun writing it, and check it out. I drop every week.
Sweet. All right, pwtorch.com. Check it out. And by the way, if you go VIP, you get an ad-free version. If you get a full VIP membership, you get a website with no ads, nothing, and no nothing. Just a really cool layout of content with access to our decades, almost 4 decades of archives of old retro radio shows from the 90s, 20 plus years of podcasts, newsletters going back to the late 1980s. Really cool stuff. I have another iPod to show off. Look at this one. That's the last model they ever made. I'm serious. I'm trying to like when I take my dog on a walk, I just want to listen to music, and I don't want to think, let me check if I did that bank balance thing or paid that bill or send an email out. Like I'm wanting to have at least some time where I'm not instantly accessible or distracted. So that's why that's been on my mind lately. All right. So we have a lot more to talk about. You can email us, by the way, as always. If you're not watching us live, wadekellerpostshow@gmail.com is the way to be part of the show, even if you can't watch us live on YouTube. Otherwise, join in the chat. We have a ton of people in the chat right now commenting on the show. A mix of a lot of regulars. JC Scooby notes Wade is ahead of the Obi fan club. I don't know. I think there's competition for that, JC. I think there is. Derek Mitchell says Wade is going to tell us Greg Gandhi versus Bobby Heenan was the best Weasel match. Well, of course it was, because Heenan was in his prime then and really took great bumps. And ended
up in the Weasel suit just the same.
Yes, that was. Oh man, did I want to see Bobby Heenan have to wear that Weasel suit? Nobody sold not wanting to wear a Weasel suit better than Bobby Heenan. Fun stuff. All right, let's go back to talking about Raw. I think I got enough plugs in. So we also had developments with the Bloodline. I want to talk about that briefly. Then we'll get to calls because I'm sure both Darrell and Sean are waiting to be on the show, and they'll bring up some of these topics. But interesting developments with the Bloodline. I don't know if they've always been heels, they just turned heel, or they're still baby faces who just look out for one another and are supposed to admire them. It depends ultimately on who they wrestle most often in big matches. once we get past the kind of CM Punk Roman Reigns WrestleMania super fight vibe where there's not really heel and a face, they're messing with two good things right now. Well, actually, they're messing with three. Jey Uso was super popular as a babyface. Now, it's kind of like Damian Priest is a world title guy. I was in favor of it, but he's not a perennial guy. You don't lament that Jay's not world champ. He's not a main eventer. I think it worked well. I think the crowd loved it. I think it bought them some time to do other things. And obviously the crowd was into it. I mean, I think it was a positive, or to have Jay have that chapter. But it's time to move on. So they're messing with that a little bit by having Jay turn into this grumpy, snarling guy with a temper. But I like it. I think it's a fresh thing. So, but I don't mean to introduce a conversation on Jay here. I just wanted to check that box that they're actually messing with three things. But the two big things they're messing with are the mega popular Roman Reigns and the mega popular Jacob Fatu. They're messing with Roman in the sense that if you turn him heel, which I am an advocate for them doing full-fledged, because I think the big money match is Roman against babyface Jacob Fatu, Roman against babyface Obafemi. I'm fine with that. I think he makes a better heel than a face. I think he enjoys it more. I think there's more dynamic there. But they're also messing with Jacob Fatu right now, but I think it's a bridge to get somewhere else, because he is a heel out of family loyalty and who is now being taken advantage of by a master manipulator. But the crowd tonight, Paul, was super pro Jacob, more than they were pro Roman or anyone else, except Oba maybe. And although they're really the Eel Sky too, we'll get into that. Eel was like almost tied for the most popular tonight. The first babyface in a match having a spirited fight gets good pop if they're popular. But man, she's over. But the crowd is really into Jacob Fatu, and by the time Jacob was like subservient to Roman and attacking a celebrity they didn't care about, and the celebrity, what was the name? Andre. He was sort of obnoxious and almost fondling the Ulafala. It was just
Eric. It was Eric Andre, by the way.
Eric Andre. Okay, yeah. Almost fondling. It was obnoxious. That was almost like a babyface turn for Roman and Fatu. But it was meant to be attacking a civilian in an overbearing way. So the crowd was, I think, a little muted about Jacob Fatu after that. So I hope they have a good plan. I'm trusting it. I think there's a reason to have some faith that they kind of know what they're doing. I'm okay for leaving it up to us to decide kind of week to week as viewers how we feel about things, as long as it's all to tell the story to get to a landing place for a big heel face matchup whenever that happens. So Paul, give me your thoughts on the developments tonight.
Yeah, in my eyes, we saw the bloodline sink further towards heeldom solidly. It was a 3-on-1 situation against LA Knight. Reigns seems really ruthless and conniving, and even though I agree the crowd kind of loved Jacob Fatu squashing poor Eric Andre, I think that the commentators told the tale, saying how they, how sad, it was to see that happen to an innocent, bystander. So, so I think that all signs point towards heeldom. And I for one, I'm so glad to be rid of the face Jay character, running it back endlessly. And I really like him as this hothead, hitman for Roman. I think he just slides right into this role, and Jimmy is doing his best work, as well as the conciliator, who always manages to fail to make peace. So I agree. Roman it's very intriguing and it's compelling, and I agree with you. There might have been a bad bloodline story, but I can't remember it. So I have faith we're heading to a positive place.
All right, we have a super chat that'll take priority, and then we're going to go to Darrell. Derek Mitchell in the super chat. Thank you. Super chats welcome from anybody and everybody, of course. I don't know if anyone else in the chat noticed, but Roman came out with the default World Heavyweight Championship instead of his custom OTC side plates. I definitely did not notice that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if there's anything to make of it. Derek, what do you think that means? Feel free to chime in the chat. Paul, do you think that means anything?
Yeah, that certainly made it past me. I don't know if if he was going heel, if he'd be trying to move past the OTC chance. That would serve him well in the long run, and this could be one small sign towards that. But I didn't notice either.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring Darrell in. He's always a great caller on the show to lead the conversation to other places. Darrell, welcome. Good to see you. Good to talk to you.
Good to see both of you guys tonight. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a rare evening Raw post show. We had like 2 weeks in a row, late afternoon shows, and then next week they're in London, another afternoon show. It's weird.
Oh yes, and I had plenty of time to watch other things afterwards.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a beautiful day in Minnesota. I got a bike ride in, took my dogs for a walk. I was really happy Raw wasn't on in the afternoon, and then we had thunderstorms tonight while I was covering Raw. So I talked with Jason about it, like, do we like the earlier shows? And Jason does, and I'm like, I kind of in the summer I'd rather have evening shows so I can take a couple hours out and enjoy the weather, which I did today.
That's true. That's true, because how y'all weather be, so I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, tonight, I agree with you guys. It was an interesting night. With the Bloodline tonight, they did a lot of different things. They were trying a little different stuff to do. I would say this though. I think the fans were cheering because it was the Bloodline. But when they start talking about certain different things, like when Roman was breaking down how the Bloodline been here tonight, the fans kind of eyed it, like they died a little bit, kind of booed it, because they don't think they really want the Bloodline to continue forever type of thing. So, and that was a heel line. So tonight, I do think that they went heel tonight. And I felt like they kind of diminished the finals of the other guys, because they kind of made Jey Uso feel now not even second fiddle. He felt like third, fourth fiddle per se, behind Jacob. Even the LA Knight kind of rose above him tonight a little bit. So, and I know they tried to make up for it, and they let you know that Javon is not ready, so they gave him that same injury angle that they did for Charlotte. So, but seeing that, and if they are going heel with that would change how you see they might do SummerSlam.
You're asking, do we think it'll change how they do SummerSlam?
Or how you guys see it, not how they would do it, because they'll do it any type of way.
Not really, because I've been open to a range of possibilities. I haven't really settled in on like, here's what I think the lineup would be, and so tonight changed it. Tonight is leading to one of the scenarios that I thought they might do at SummerSlam. So I don't feel more confident in it. I mean, part of me just, and you might see it in my commentary, like I look at what WWE's doing, and I try not to outsmart myself or ever talk spoilers, especially because they're wrong 70% of the time or more. A lot of it is guess news, as I talk about, where you guess what's true, and then you report it as news, and then you hope you're right. If you're not, you ignore it. If you are, you tout it. So as you found out, Darrell, when you brought up the whole Seth winning King of the Ring thing to me, and that got covered by major websites, and they made a lot of money off of people wasting their time clicking on it. And it was never the plan. I spent 2 weeks or two shows, whatever it was, a week, just debunking it ahead of time without being specific. So I didn't want to ruin it for people who thought Seth might win, but for people who knew that Seth was in some circles being reported as the planned winner, I was letting people know, if you've read that, it's not true. And it never was. And it turned out, right. So my point, I'm done talking about that, is I like to look at what WWE's offering viewers to think are possible. And I use the phrase a lot, give us a story to believe in. That's the job of wrestling bookers, promoters, and wrestlers. We don't need to know. We don't need to think it's real. We just want to get lost in you giving us a story real enough for us to believe it can happen while we're wrapped up in watching the show. And I think that is how the majority of fans watch. The majority of fans are not on wrestling Twitter. People on wrestling Twitter completely, I think, lose sight of the fact that they are. Majority of people are on social media, but the majority aren't immersed in wrestling conversation every day. And people who are, I think, really overestimate how many fans watching or at arenas are those people. So, not to be too long-winded about it, but when you say, what are they going to do? I'm still very open, either Jey or Oba winning, in the two matches we talked
Mm-hmm.
about, because that's the story WWE is telling us. And I don't have a reason to rule out either, even if we can talk through and go, well, if they do that, that's problematic, or maybe they're giving something away too soon, or then what do they do with the other scenario? We can work our way through it deeper, but most viewers are watching going, it's probably going to be Jay and Oba, and Brock might cost Oba the match. That's a story they're telling. Both scenarios are on the table the way WWE's telling their story. So for me, they legit both are on the table. Paul, what do you think?
And when you say the two scenarios you talked about, the other one being Jay winning and challenging Cody, is that right?
Yeah, because they've talked quite a bit about, Roman just said, Jay, go, I've got this belt, you go get the other one.
Yeah. And I think either would work better if the bloodline is heel, quite frankly. Roman Oba would be better that way, as would Cody and Jay. Although one possibility is that they could sort of keep them, tweener until if Roman was to face Oba at SummerSlam, Roman could actually fully turn heel by cheating to win. That's one possibility. Because there has to be a moment where it becomes totally solidified, right? There has to be a moment where if they do turn heel, I don't see it being a gradual process. There has to be sort of an exclamation point that makes it clear to everyone how ruthless Roman is, and that would be one such moment.
Darrell, how about you?
I think they was trying to do that tonight with Eric Andre and having Roman acting like he was going to call Jacob off, then send him back for a second time. But that's why I saw where the fans just wanted to cheer, because they wanted to cheer one more time as well. But that's what they were trying to do. I see what they're trying to do, but it'll be more interesting if you can set them off as being heels and use somebody like Jacob as a person who can play like middleman to Roman that Oba have to go through while trying to deal with Brock as well, because I do see Brock versus Oba for main event in MSG for maybe if I win I take your King of the Ring spot for SummerSlam. So that's something that I see.
Okay, cool.
But other than that, I like the women's semifinal match tonight, and I think they did the perfect winner. Because again, EO to me got a bigger story. If you're trying to say challenging either champion, EO challenging, she got a story with both Liv and she got a story with Rhea, because Rhea's her friend, but Rhea has never beat her, and she got a history with Liv as well. And I think she'll probably choose Liv, and that Liv need a spark right now with a decent or a nice little match or feud. So I'm kind of torn on who will win.
Paul, you go first. What do you think?
Yeah, what a bizarre situation to have Liv Morgan, the champion, competing in the King of the Ring tournament. As far as I can tell, it seems unprecedented. And I don't really love either scenario. So if EO beats her, then she defeats the champion, and then she goes and fights her best friend for her title when she just beat Liv. The other possibility, of course, is she beat Liv and then she challenges Liv for the title, but then we've already seen the match. So that's kind of a strange outcome. So I'm intrigued. I'm not sure where they're going to go with it. I think you're right that EO choosing or facing Liv is the more likely option of the two. And if Liv won, I don't know what that would mean. That really seems like a bad option to me.
Yeah, I have less to say about it for the reasons that Paul just laid out. It's weird brackets. They gave Charlotte an excuse to lose. Charlotte beating Morgan and then beating EO means then, I mean, yeah, it's just if Liv wins, then there's no, does she go after the other title, or it's kind of a mess. If EO wins, then she's beating Charlotte, which is maybe Charlotte's hand gets in. Maybe that's the excuse to lose there, even if she gets past Liv in the semis. I guess I could see that. Maybe the hand injury is something that comes up. She pulls out a win over Liv, but the hand injury gets worse, and now they're building an excuse for her to lose. But then that's that. Why would they carry that over? To me, like Charlotte winning would be the most meaningful, newsworthy outcome
Mhm.
because she's been in the tag realm for so long.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem like the story that they're telling at the moment. So I don't
Mm.
know. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe when we see it play out, I'll retroactively go, okay, I see why they did it and it made sense. But Darrell, right now, I don't have as much of a handle on it.
Yeah, plus they seem like they gave up on the split angle Judgment Day again. They done delayed it even longer, so that
Yeah.
takes a lot from the
I
story as
know
well.
that was the number one scenario, and they took it away tonight. Yep.
Mhm.
I mean, that is the women's headline tonight.
Like Raquel didn't even show no more backstage. She didn't even come back out with anything. So it kind of, I don't know. I think now the story would be good if you have not Liv, but you have Charlotte versus Io, and it's two baby faces, and it's about respect, and Charlotte trying to get her way back into the title picture. I think that'll be better. And we go from there, and then they just gonna have to tell a good story from that moment
Darrell,
forward.
I like your booking the best. Yeah, I like that. I like Charlotte. I'm a big Charlotte fan, and she's done her time in the tag team division. I think it's time to bring her back. So I think your booking is the best.
What else, Darrell?
Yes. Now let's get to LA Knight and LA Knight out there. In the promo he cut, I think he did an excellent job tonight, and I think he's building himself up to if you need a main event from MSG, a title match versus him and Roman. I think he set up himself perfectly. I like what he did. I like that he didn't play too much in his usually stick. He did kind of sort of, but he made it work for him to get the crowd in it, to get the crowd on his side. I loved everything that he did tonight. That was a peak LA Knight moment. And I'm glad that he got that loss, and he made the loss feel something, and he made people feel for him coming to Baltimore. I like everything about it. What do you guys think?
I don't think any city that's hosted Raw got more mentions in years than Baltimore tonight. Yeah, I mean, LA Knight was good tonight. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I think he is peaking Knight. I mean, what an alpha when he confronts Pierce and then he's just like, I don't expect anything out of you. I'm gonna go handle it my way. I mean, he sounded so Steve Austin in the best possible way at that moment. I think he's I don't know what they have in mind for him, but I think he's outperforming whatever it is. He's just been fantastic. Agreed.
Cavante Smalls in the chat goes, LA Knight continues to be one of the most over baby faces on Raw. I guess it's one of. He's not the most, but it's not far. Sort of like I said, Io Sky got a top 4 pop tonight, top 5 pop tonight. I mean, I don't like hometown comparisons, so LA might have gotten a bigger pop than he would have in another city or whatever. But he is just generally speaking a top 5 babyface reaction wise lately. And Jacob Fatu's right there. Roman is getting more of the legend top guy. Oh my God, we're in his presence pop. More than we really want you to win. It's more like, oh, this is our chance as a communal experience to chant your name enthusiastically. I'm not a fan of that. I think if I'm a booker, I try to steer away from it. It's like the Seth as a heel. You cheer, you sing to his entrance, and then you start booing him when he talks. I just think you want fans to have consistent emotions, negative or positive. And if you're giving them an experience that leads them into contradicting themselves minute to minute, I think it undercuts the peak fan experience. But LA Knight is really hitting his stride. Someone predicted he might get a title shot, I think, at Saturday's main event against Roman. LA Knight is the main reason. And fans you can see they feel kind of conflicted at times when he does it, but he's speaking the truth about the bloodline. And I don't know how they land this, but LA Knight is not, he's done nothing to make it seem like it's up to the fans to decide if he's right or wrong. He's just right. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't, we're gonna let the fans decide, which I think is utter nonsense, and you're just burning money instead of making money when you do that. You got to give people someone they really want to win. You got to give people someone they really want to see lose. The vast majority of the time, anything else, it just belongs in a eight episode series on HBO. Like, this is pro wrestling. This is about crowd reactions, unifying behind somebody. We've had too many years of John Cena sucks, go John Cena, whatever. It's just like too much. Let's just get it's so fun when people are behind Io Sky. It's so fun when people are behind Obafemi. It's so fun when people are rooting for one person against the other. That is what every booker should be going for. They have the power to do it. They ought to aim for that. LA Knight is in that category, I think. Am I wrong, Paul? Or do you think LA Knight comes across as, because he even says, I'm not whining, I'm just pointing out. And I think he does so in a way where the crowd's on his side. Like he has street cred with them.
Yeah. I don't think anybody hates LA Knight. I think he plays it. He plays it so well. Confident without being arrogant.
Cavante follows up. LA Knight is like the little engine that just won't quit despite his occasional slip-ups and some questionable booking in recent years. Derek Mitchell in the chat said LA Knight is a significantly more polished version of Mr. Kennedy, who unfortunately sabotaged his own WWE career. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fine comparison. Somebody who's, you feel sort of a borderline top-tier guy. There's some shortcomings in terms of being a world-class worker and athlete, but there's something there. And the command of the microphone is something Mr. Kennedy had. LA Knight, I think the comparison was apt when LA was leaning more on the signature catchphrases like Kennedy did. And you always wondered, is there a person behind that feels like they're talking from the heart? And we're getting that now, and he has it, and he's really stepped up. Cavante says, yeah, great comparison of LA Knight to Kennedy. Let's Goodfella says LA Knight has a classic grounded wrestling style, hits hard, takes hard bumps. Yes. Has a few acrobatics added into his moveset for sizzle or slippage when he slips. Misses some spots. Oh, there it is. Misses some spots, but takes chances. Give him a title run, in my opinion. There we are. All right, Darrell, back to you.
Yeah, and I think one thing that he did tonight when Jay cut that promo and told him to acknowledge him, you could tell the fans wanted him to say no. You could tell they got quiet just to hear him say no.
Yep.
And that's how I think you want people to be, not just cheering people. Then when they're trying to tell you something that's important, you don't hear it because you're too busy cheering, because that's just a communal thing to do. And that's the first time that we done got that in a few weeks, and that's what made that so big tonight. But my last thing that I will speak on is this.
Wait one sec. 7-Eleven says, I don't have faith whatever they're doing with Knight goes anywhere besides jobbing to Roman again. I want to insert, before we move off of this topic, in case we don't go back to it, LA Knight, this isn't just about LA Knight in a match. This is about LA Knight being a conduit to help tell the story that they want to tell with Jacob and Roman. He is the conscience on the outside, looking at the Usos and saying, hey guys, look who Roman really is. He is an integral, essential part of the story, I believe, that they're telling with the bloodline wherever it goes, which I still am leaning firmly, but not with certitude, that Roman's going to end up, Jacob is going to be super loyal to Roman in every way, almost to a point that fans are like, come on, Jacob, no. But over time, Roman is going to be two-facing, abusive, all of that. And LA Knight will be the guy who is right all along. And he's laying that foundation that it would almost be too much of a tell if the announcers were doing it. Well, why is Roman, why is Jacob putting up with Roman Boss? You don't want that. You want someone like LA Knight saying. So my point in sneaking that in, Darrell, before you change topics with 7-Eleven in the chat, is don't just look at what LA Knight's doing as it doesn't matter because he's just going to lose to Roman. He is a key supporting player in a super important story that has less to do with him as a wrestler and more to do with him as a reliable narrator of conscience of what is going on. So anyway, I want to throw that in.
He's doing the opposite, similar to what Drew was doing, because Drew was telling the truth, but he's doing it in a way that's not like a whining way and don't make you hate him or don't make you dislike him. And it's not like he's trying to big up himself doing it. He could be the catalyst, which he should be right now, of the heel turn that you would like Roman to be. You could use him to be that catalyst.
Yep. And Goodfella says the word of the day should be conduit, the word of the night. So conduit, conscience. What was your word, Drew?
Catalyst.
Catalyst, conscious, conduit. Copyright Paul
Triple
He hasn't
C's.
done that in years. So if he's listening, I'm sorry. He like stopped doing that years ago, and I can't let it go. It's just like accolade and allocate for Lex Luger. And Brock is going to be 1+1. We're going to give him a hard time about that. Maybe forever. Maybe not. We'll see. Swole says conductive. All right. Anyway, getting back on track. Yeah, go ahead, Darrell.
Okay, now the last thing I want to talk about is something that probably wouldn't have never got brought up, but I want to bring it up. I like that Logan Paul came back tonight. I like because he's got heel heat that he don't have to be touched. You don't have to do anything. You can keep him around outside of the other people who done been hurt into the division. Yes, his injury is bad, but he's doing similar to what CM Punk did. You can use him. You can continue to build a story. You can continue to do something. And to fans, this should show that he loved wrestling because he didn't have to come back. He got a lot of things going on that he could be doing right now anyway outside of this. But this lets you know that he is in this and he's in this for good. And I think it made the vision tonight, even with the attack and stuff, it made them feel a little different, a little bit back to how they were feeling at first, just by having that extra person back. What do you guys think?
Paul, take it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's such a heat magnet, Logan Paul. I almost felt bad for Javon Evans and Austin Theory because they were having a pretty good match, and the fans were just distracted by Logan and trying to jeer Logan. So I agree. I'm glad to have him back. I think the division really needs him. And it's a classic heel trope coming back in the cast. There's a lot of possibilities there. And the jerk that that people can't really put their hands on because he's injured. I think it works. So I agree.
It'll
very
be
happy.
Bob Orton in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get him wearing that for like 7 years now. Hopefully not, because it's a little impeding of his athleticism. But yeah, I get he could actually. I not to give him ideas, and I'm not even sure this is a good idea. They'd want to copy, but if he's behind on a match, if he's losing a match, he could then jump to ringside and grab his forearm, be like, or his elbow, his like arm, and be like, "Oh, thank you for your interest," and then strap that thing on. It'll be like this loaded thing he can hit people with a lariat with. That'll replace his fist of steel. Anyway, that'd be funky.
I like if he talk about how it's the worst injury that anybody could ever have in the history of injuries, especially after how he came at CM Punk about it. He could just bring it up so much and how he need this cast because any other person it would have them out for a career and go with it like that.
Derek Mitchell, of course, with a historical reference in the chat. D'Lo Brown in the chest protector when he hit the frog splash. Yeah. Oh, by the way, on LA Knight, just going back a topic briefly, I think if I had to combine him with Mr. Kennedy and someone else, I'd say Nitro era DDP. Like a guy who's kind of upper mid card, borderline top tier. Well, he wasn't even quite that when he broke out, but they needed a babyface to speak out against the major faction and be the voice of it. Even if, DDP ended up seeming like a legitimate threat, but almost by default because there weren't a lot of choices, and he overachieved. And he had just this. I've interviewed DDP a lot. And I enjoy my conversations with him, and he enjoys talking about that era a lot. And he did a lot to make that work, but he was also right person, right time. And I think we have that same combination with LA Knight right now. Right person, right time. Right person being a key, but right time too. And he can be that, I didn't see that coming, but LA Knight is higher on the card than we would have predicted because he's sort of the conscience speaking for the fans and seeing things clearly in a way that, it was a different era, but DDP kind of saw the NWO for what they were.
Yeah, and also, one of the few guys who really got himself over in WCW. Really made himself a star.
Yep.
Yes. Would DDP be the top babyface to ever face against NWO in that time?
Sting.
It could.
Okay. You're asking overall. Yeah, Sting. But Sting was dealing with stuff and was in the rafters. And, but yeah, they were. And remember, when DDP was breaking out, so was Stone Cold Steve Austin. And it was two companies that both needed something fresh at the top. Historically, obviously, Steve Austin, a much more significant figure, but DDP was at that moment in time, if you lived it in real time, like, oh, thank God. Like, WCW needed this. They really needed somebody to overachieve. I mean, DDP was the backup quarterback who came in and just took the starting job.
Yeah. I can never understand why he didn't succeed in the WWE.
Foolish gimmick that they gave him, stalker.
Oh,
that's a whole other topic. When you don't have a good friend like Eric Bischoff forgiving all the quirks of DDP, both in the ring and behind the scenes, you have a deep enough roster to not have to go to him as your backup. DDP could be a lot.
Okay.
And I like him. I mean, but he can be a lot. And But also there was in other people were sort of out to get him too for unfair reasons or political reasons about the brand and protecting their turf and whatever. But DDP can be a lot.
Hell of a yoga teacher, though.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah, it's a good program. It's probably on my iPod, my old iPod, like some DDP yoga videos. DDP for what was it called? Yoga for Men was the original.
Yoga for regular guys, was it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then he's like, everyone calls it DDP yoga, so I'm just changing the branding. Yeah.
Studios look very nice though. I done been to them up in went to Atlanta and went to them. They're real nice. Real nice complex.
Yeah.
But that's it for me tonight.
Okay.
Good talking to you guys. I'm gonna let Sean come on. I don't want to take up all the topics.
Sweet. Thanks, Darrell.
All right.
You have a good night. All right. He said bring Sean on. I don't know if I want to bring Sean on. I mean,
what do you mean? Of course you want to bring Sean on.
All right. I'm outvoted. Hey, Sean. Sean Plichta from Tennessee. How's it going?
Well, you even get me cracking up sometimes. I can't even not laugh. It's so funny. I mean, I was said in the chat, they were like, I got to be a heel every once in a great while. I'm still a white meat baby face, but you got to switch it up every now and again to throw people off the scent. As Roman and the Bloodline are all doing right now, trying to throw us off the scent. Oh, it's good talking to you guys. I know it's been a while. That's the one thing about Raw afternoon shows that I like them. I mean, but I don't like them because then I can't talk about them until like later on. So that kind of sucks. But it is what it is. I like it. Next week's kind of the same thing. But no, it's
weird. Plan ahead. Take a day off.
I know. I wish I could. That would be great. Just watch Raw during the day. Be off from work. Oh, it'd be awesome. With the Bloodline, no, it's been. They need to go heel in my opinion for sure. I think that's the right move for everyone involved. But Paul, I will disagree in the sense of just Friday they had Jay going through the crowd eating with everyone, and I hate that. Like if you're I don't know what they're doing, but if you're gonna try to turn them heel, that's not the way to do it. Like, what are we doing? I hated that. I hated every bit of it. Like, what are we doing? So then you have Jay, who I'm worried, if they do go heel and Jay wins, I worry about a match with Oba. I hope it's quick if it is, because I don't think that would be good if it's long either way, because Jay can't have a match with a lot of people that are good. And I just, him and Cody, I don't know, that worries me a little bit too. I think that's where they're going to go if Jay wins. I mean, I think he has to go against Cody because the dynamic with Roman would be awkward, and I don't want Jay even thinking about being a face at that point, because that's what I think they would have to go, and I don't want that. I want Jay to be a heel. He's better as a heel right now. It fits his lane of where they're going with the Bloodline and the way they're acting with each other. I still like the chemistry between all of them together. So I'm worried about that, but then I'm worried about Fatu because, again, the fans love him. We like him a lot, and I just don't know where they're going with him. Where do you think, is there any tea leaves to where they're going with Jacob in the next, 2-3 months? Because I don't even know what they're doing. If they go with him and Roman, it's like, okay, that's cool. But how do you think they, I don't know where they're getting with that. I'm curious. I don't know. And that's why I'm intrigued, because if the Bloodline goes heel, I just don't know how they tell the story with Fatu breaking back off, because he's like, I'm gonna be you're my tribal chief, you're my OTC, but then all of a sudden he's just gonna turn on him again. I mean, what dynamic there do you think they do with Roman to get Jacob to just all of a sudden turn against him again?
So let me throw up a few chat comments, Sean, to kind of add to this here. in terms of kind of where they are, because there's a lot of talk about it earlier in the show in the chat. Rise says a bloodline or heels. Just because people think this guy or that guy are cool does not make them faces, which is what I think everyone is assuming. Everything they do and say screams heel. Bloodline needs to go. It's like the NWO over and over again, says JC Scooby. Real Legend says Bloodline is always a heel in my eyes. Swole says Roman showed he can laugh tonight. That was a new wrinkle. Sean Plista, by the way, you might have heard of him. Sean says Fatu as a heel. I just don't know how much that will work. Eric Moy goes, the Bloodline have always been heels. Any of you remember all the way back to when Cody had to bring out every single baby face except Stone Cold Steve Austin to defeat them at WrestleMania 40? And then Eric Moy says, I hope the stuff with Jacob will get Jay to turn on Roman, actually. So interesting comment there. So Paul, talk about, Sean's particular question, throwing in a few comments from the chat there also, just to kind of, add to it.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Sean. It is an interesting situation, a situation we haven't seen before. Seeing Roman side with Jacob Fatu over the twins was a new twist. Having someone who's close to his own level, someone who's Roman's kind of seems to respect more, is a new twist. The way that I see it playing out, and I like not knowing where the story's going, like you do. I think ultimately, Roman can push him too far. We recall when, Sammy would have done anything for Roman, but when he asked him to cripple his own best friend, Sammy just couldn't do. He met his limit, and I think Jacob is going to have a limit too. At some point, I don't know what it is, but Roman's is going to demand that he do something that is just too immoral for Jacob, and I think that could be the straw that broke his back. And hopefully they don't stretch it out too long like a Damien Mizdow situation, but it does seem, I got the sense from tonight, it's not going to be in the next couple weeks. I mean, Jacob took to his task to take out LA Knight, and he had no compunctions. He just went out there and destroyed him. So I think it's going to be a longer term storyline.
In the chat, Goodfella says, Roman told us these are slow builds. And Swole says Jimmy and Solo should be a good guy bloodline. So yeah, and also just like where does Solo fit into all of this? I mean, if you were to create kind of, let's say someone's like hasn't watched WWE in a couple of years and like, well, I hear the bloodline's back. I really liked them during COVID and all that. So what's happening? Give me a visual flow chart of what's going on and the dynamic. And the core group obviously now with Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Jacob is there. But you got LA Knight as a kind of a satellite participant. Then you have Solo and Tala, and for now Tama doing their thing. It's like where it's going. Like if you say where is it going, you're almost narrowing it down too much. But what I think the direction right now, what we're supposed to think is, and the announcers said it, like Jimmy is a level-headed guy, Jay is a hothead, but it's intriguing. Can Jay, because of what we saw him do with the world title run and the yeeting and the crowd participation and the connection that he has with them, Jay is so loyal to Roman that if Jay starts thinking Roman is going too far, that will carry a ton of weight. Like it's one thing for LA Knight as an outsider to say it, but if Jay actually is like, Roman, OTC, my tribal, you can't ask him to do that. Like that'll be a moment where fans are they'll be an adrenaline rush. Like, oh my God, if Jay, who's just this super loyal guy, so they might be building up to that, but it also could just be Jay is just going to be, that 1980s Dukes of Hazzard deputy or 70s cop show guy who's just like, yeah, I'll do whatever you say. And he'll just be the sidekick who isn't as smart, isn't a leader, and is malleable in terms of taking direction from not so benevolent dictator, narcissist leader. And we see that in politics a lot, wherever that happens too. So, yeah. So I don't know if we fully address where you're coming from.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and no, you did, and that's what throws me off. If you're saying that if Roman continues to do stuff where Jay all of a sudden is saying that, see, I just don't want that because I don't want Jay to be a face. I want Jay to be a heel. I don't want him to be like this good guy stuff is not working for me anymore. It's just, I mean, he's a hothead for a good reason. Like I want him to be a hothead.
And I brought that up as not because I think it's most likely to happen. I brought it up as like when you say where are they going, like that's an example of where they could be going somewhere different than sort of the obvious path. They're just pointing you this direction, but they could be actually using that to set up something else because they want it. Because Jay is so over the top right now, and I don't mean that. And usually over the top means in a bad way, but he is so fiercely loyal to Roman, and he's just like pacing, and he snapped at Jacob, and he's just so. I think in a way. I mean, they want Roman can't play that part because it would be unbecoming and unlike him. But Jay is sort of this extension of Roman's abuse of power. That's more visual. You can see Roman's abuse of power through how Jay executes it, and so that I think is the important role that he has right now. And then Jimmy's level-headed. The path of not least resistance, but the most obvious path is. Just Jimmy stays Jimmy and Jay stays Jay. And wherever this goes, they just consistently play that role. I don't see, I mean, even though Jay still sides with family, it's family. He says that. I don't think he's ever going to just be the guy who turns on Jacob. Like, I think not when I say turns on Jacob, I don't think he'll be someone who, no matter how abusive Roman is and how obnoxious Jay is. And again, this is assuming this is the direction they continue to go in, and we could be reading too much into it and amplifying something that's going to be more subtle. But I don't think Jimmy's ever going to be on board fully. Like, I don't think he'll be a convert who then ends up helping Jacob break free because I think he'll be the one who helps Jacob break free because he's the one pulling him away from the family. But how they do that, I don't know. I mean, I think by the way, I think it's meant to be a mystery when Roman whispered to Jacob, but I also liked that because what it said to us as viewers is he knows the camera and microphone are on. And they need to do that. They need to let us as viewers know they know they're being filmed. They're okay with it. It's just like people say when you're on a reality show, you stop noticing cameras. That's how we have to believe wrestlers are. But they also have to be smart enough to not say something you don't want anybody to hear. And Roman, in essence, without Mr. Ropering the camera and looking at it, or Michael Scotting the camera. Like, you got it. You don't want to mug the camera. I'm thinking of all the TV shows where people did that. But he acknowledged that, I know there's a mic there, so I have to whisper this to Jacob. And that's up in obviously mystery selling wrestling too. You want anything, Paul?
Yeah, so we didn't get to find out what he whispered tonight. I imagine that the most obvious thing would be to make sure that Jay goes over Javon in their upcoming match on SmackDown.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to the King of the Ring tournament itself, and that's why I'm intrigued of where they go here because you assume Jay's going to win, and then with the Oba Jay, it's just so intriguing because. You have Jay. The only way Jay wins, obviously, is if Brock interferes. There's no way Jay wins clean over Oba. I mean, we do know that. But it's just like, I would almost want Oba just to win and have Brock, attack him afterwards and then build to, because Oba would win. So obviously he would go after Roman, you would assume there. But then Brock could attack him. You build to that third match at MSG, which could still be, again, they're going to do a big show there. So you got to have a big match for it. That's a big match. Because with Jay, the only thing that's interesting to me is if Jay did get squashed, which he would probably have to, how that goes into the bloodline, like how Roman's going to react to it. How does Jay react to it? Where do you go with that? That's what's intriguing about that to me, too, is where they go if that happens. Because I just don't want Brock attacking him during the match because I still think ultimately Oba's at this point where you could have, because initially I thought, well, you could do Oba and Roman somehow at MSG, which I don't think they would do that. But I'm just saying, if you were going to go that route and you had Brock interfere there, and then build to Brock and Oba at SummerSlam, but still have Oba just play that longer game. But I don't want to play the longer game. I want to have Oba just be big time right now. Like he's over. This is as over as he's going to get right now, I think. So that's why I'm intrigued by where they go. I think ultimately Oba's going to win, and I think Brock's going to attack him afterwards to build to Oba and Brock at MSG. How do you feel about it? Does that seem like where they could go?
Paul, what do you think? Is that in the
Yeah,
realm?
so it's hard for me to imagine that wedging Brock in between Night of Champions and so hard for me to imagine him sort of wedging him in there. But yeah, it's possible. I guess I do wonder whether, yeah, you bring up a good point. Do they strike while the iron's hot and Oba takes the title by SummerSlam, or do they kind of put him on a longer journey where Roman screws him and then they build towards a WrestleMania match, sort of a longer term build.
A couple suggestions in the chat too. I'll throw into the conversation. 711 says, "What if Roman wants Jacob to cost Jay so he doesn't have the option to go after Roman?" I don't think so. I don't think Roman's scared of Jay. I don't think he would break up the family. It would be too obvious, and Jay is. I think Roman values Jay as a hothead, not enforcer, but agitator, I guess. Even if he kind of is two-faced when he talks to Jimmy about Jay, I think he wants Jay to be there doing some of the dirty work. So I don't know that. Bob, Derek Mitchell with a super chat. Thank you, Derek. Says, do we know Jacob doesn't cost Jay the final in King of the Ring versus Oba?
Yeah, no.
I don't think they turn Jacob that fast.
Yeah, it's too early to play that game.
Yeah. I mean, do I 100% rule it out? No, but would I like it? No. Because I think there's a long arc to tell here. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think Jacob has already done too much to be loyal for him to have done this as a ruse. And I don't think enough has been done to cause him to be loyal.
Right.
Genuinely loyal, but now turn. That's too fast of a turnaround.
He can't stand Jay right now, so why would he all of a sudden just... I mean, they haven't... There's no tea leaves at all to make you think Jacob's going to help Jay in any way right now.
No.
Too quick.
Yeah.
And with Jay winning... And that's the thing about Jay I don't want winning as well as... But I'm curious. I mean, it's SmackDown. I'm not going to go to that. But I am curious how they do the match on Friday. I'm very intrigued of how they play that out. That's very interesting. When he says Sammy's the referee, I was like, wow, that's going to be interesting. But with Jay, I just don't want Jay to be fighting for a title right now. I just don't think it's a good idea. I wouldn't go that route.
So for the record, by the way, Goodfellow wants to know, what is the whisper speculation? And chat, join in. Is it just Jacob help Jay beat Javon? Is it attack Javon before off camera the match happens? So there's a mystery attacker backstage. Why make it a mystery? But because that'd be such a heelish move for Roman if they're trying to turn him heel slowly or create some ambiguity so fans who are still on his side later feel taken, and that makes him more angry. He would not want to overtly say that because it would show that he's scared that Jay couldn't win on his own. I don't think it would be... Could it be cost Oba the match because Roman fears Oba, but he doesn't want to admit he fears him?
That's interesting. You could do that. I mean, that's possible because Jay, they've already, like you said earlier tonight, they've already built Javon to have an out to lose. Like, he's gotten beat up, he's gotten really hurt badly. He's not going to be ready. I mean, he'll be there, but he's not going to be 100% against Jay. So I just don't see Javon beating Jay in any scenario. So Jay's going to just win. They'll find a way to do that, to have him win.
Rudog says, what about if it's Oba, Jay in the final, and Roman and the rest of the Bloodline 2.0 causes Oba to lose? This could set up Jay versus Cody, and then Oba could get into a match against Roman anyway. And Derek Mitchell with the super chat goes, to clarify, I think Jacob will cost Jay the match inadvertently rather than on purpose. Okay.
So that's better.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, his wording. Do we know Jacob doesn't cost Jay the final? So
okay.
The ambiguity of his post led us down an interesting road that we dismissed pretty clearly for reasons we explained. But if he does it inadvertently, or quote inadvertently, because he's mad at Jay, okay. Derek, you're more clever than I initially gave credit to. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, no, that totally works. I like the ambiguous route where it's not totally clear whether he did it on purpose, because clearly there's a simmering feud between them, but it's way too early for it to break out into open conflict.
7-Eleven says go to SmackDown to help Solo and gain Solo's trust. Could Solo be what Roman is whispering about? And but you would think Solo would be smart enough to see if Jacob showed up and started interacting with him.
Yeah.
Solo would be like, okay, Roman put you up to this. What are you guys up to?
Right.
I'm less intrigued with what they're doing with Solo than I wish I was. But
I agree.
But it doesn't mean I shouldn't be thinking about it and talking about it. I'm just sort of, I don't know. It feels a little forced, and I'm not. I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm not against it. I'm just not. I don't talk about it much. I'm not super excited about, what does Solo do? It's just like he'll do what he does, and then I'll evaluate it when it happens. Yeah.
But it is interesting that twice LA Knight accused Solo of being aligned with the bloodline, and so far LA Knight's been right. We think he's right about everything, but there really hasn't been any clues that I could tell that would indicate that.
That's the thing. To me, I think this is the thing that LA is wrong about. I don't think LA Knight's going to be the soothsayer. It's just like, is predicting everything that's happening ahead of time. I think they wanted people. To me, it feels like a stretch to say that. It just does feel like there's the Occam's razor is just, he's acting in his own self-interest. He doesn't need to be aligned with anybody to be doing what he's doing so far as my memory tells me. But Goodfellas says Solo needs a come up. He's been doing good work. And that's part of it is I think Solo has been doing good work as a, I don't want to say second tier heel, but almost.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the role. He's good in that role, but
he's good.
I don't know that he's compelling where it's like, oh, I want to see how he and Roman face off. Like to me,
that burned out a long time ago.
Yeah. Solo's doing good work, but he's not that. So let him do good work in a, he's a right fielder. He's not a starting first baseman. Whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
But so is Jimmy Uso, and I just think Jimmy's been so interesting since he's been back in the bloodline, and Solo could be too. So he could ignite that spark again.
Interesting from Derek Mitchell in the chat again. Wade, I said in the chat earlier that Roman whispered to Jacob, "Keep Oba away from me by any means necessary." I always believe Oba challenges Roman at SummerSlam. Standard Deviation says, I find it hard to get excited reading into the bloodline anymore. They cover every permutation of conflict and resolution between every character. They tease all changes and then cycle through them all. I mean...
It's compelling, though. It is compelling.
I get what Standard Deviation is saying, but I don't... I don't know. I think the bookers... I think it's more of a positive than a negative. You can frame it as... There's an unpredictability, but it's all logical and it's all feasible to imagine all the scenarios that they play out, because these are loyal to a point, hot-headed figures who also have self-interest, but a family dynamic that pulls them together when you think the other forces would pull them apart. And therefore you are by definition going to have a lot of options.
I think that's the thing. I do in my other thing that just, it drives me crazy. Like, I don't love bad finishes, but I understand if you're trying to tell a story in a match that makes sense where they're going. Like if Jacob does cost Oba because Roman's, whispering like, keep Oba away from me. I don't want Oba to win. Find any way necessary. It makes sense in the story. So I can live with a bad finish if you're telling a good story and it makes sense in where they're going. Like, okay, I can live with it. And that was a good idea. I didn't actually think of that, but if they do it, I understand why. I mean, if it was me, I would just have Oba win just because Jay winning doesn't excite me, but I'm being selfish. I'm like, okay, if you're telling a good story, have Jay win. It makes sense. Have Jay again. But again, the Cody Gunther stuff is so intriguing. I don't know where they're going there. That's what makes that intriguing too. That's why I like where WWE's going. They're keeping you guessing, and it's good. So I'm interested to see where they go. I mean, the Bloodline, I didn't want a 2.0 initially, but they're making it where even though it's bumpy along the way, the acting is still good. Everybody's still good in their role to where it's like, okay, I'm willing to see where this is going. Going to the women, you guys were talking a lot about that. I love what Io's done. with Charlotte, well, first I'll say Liv they need to do something with Liv. She won the title and they've done nothing with her since she won it. This is the best we've ever seen her. And they have nothing for her. Like they did with Rhea when she initially won the title. They didn't have anything for her. And I want Liv to have a storyline to go. And the chat, I know you could bring it up. I know they brought up, Vicaire back. And I don't want to see her against Vicaire again. I've already seen it. And I don't need to see it again. I want her to go off and do new things against different people. And the match against Charlotte, I'm worried. Guys, and Paul, I know you're a Charlotte fan. And I don't hate Charlotte. I don't hate her. Her matches lately have been awful. Like the match tonight was not good. Her kicks are bad. They show so much light. It's both people. It's not just her, but I just don't like anything. Okay. When Charlotte first got with Alexa, she does feel more real as a baby face. And I will give them that. They've made her more likable. I'm not intrigued by Charlotte anymore like I used to be. There's something missing there, man. I don't, just to get her back in a main event just because she's Charlotte Flair, to me is not a reason to put her in a main event. What has she done in her last like 8 or 9 matches to make you think she's ready to have a main event match with Rhea again or anybody again? These matches have not been good, and I don't care. It's not all about the matches. Like, again, she just does the same thing. It's like the same facial expressions, it's just the same thing with Charlotte. Like Becky, that's what I loved about Becky is she does different things with her character. She makes you want to either love her or hate her. Charlotte's just, I kind of like her now because she's likable now, but there's no really meat to her character right now, and it's just it drives me crazy. What do you guys think?
Paul, what do you think?
So
Goodfella says I'm with you, Sean. By the way, go ahead, Paul.
So I think Charlotte has had some of the best women's matches that I've ever seen. I mean, with Ronda Rousey, with Becky Lynch. I agree that not all of her matches are great. That's always been the case. She's always been like that. But when the chips are down, she can really turn up the volume and make it look like a war. And so I think it'd be a nice change of pace to have her back. She's been out for a while, and to see her in main events, given time for matches again, would I think that would be great.
Yeah, Paul, you gave a good answer because I mean, Charlotte at her worst is easy to write off as Sean is, as someone who should be, wedged into main event matches. But there's still something about her, and some of it's unfair. It's the Flair name, but David Flair had the Flair name. Some people have a name and they don't carry it. She carries a Flair name, but it does give her a leg up to be a continuation of the legacy. She's tall. She is distinct looking. She is not interchangeable. Like if you're a new viewer, you might get, I don't know, Lyra Valkyria and Roxanne Perez mixed up or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to think there's maybe that's not the best, but there's women wrestlers who kind of blend in the kind of middle 80%, and Charlotte is something other than that. And so that works in her favor. She has a charisma when she does nothing. She has a charisma when she does something, but with all of that comes the baggage of, the robot like talking and the as Sean said, the moves that show light or the moves that have needless movement that produce nothing, in a bad finisher that, doesn't look good like 19 out of 20 times, but she keeps doing it. There's a lot not to like, but she has loosened up and shown a more human side to her in her interactions with Alexa. And so I don't know. I mean, I think there's a bucket of good and a bucket of bad, and that bucket of good is main event now and then, and that bucket of bad, it gives people like Sean enough to make a good case that she shouldn't be main event. You know what I mean? I think there's a bucket of good and a bucket of bad with Charlotte.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. Again, I agree with. I mean, I've seen them. All her main event matches are great. I'm not denying that. I want her to be better all the time. I don't want her just to be good in a main event match and just I'm gonna be the Flair now, and I'm gonna build up to this main event match, and it's gonna be this great story, and I'm gonna do this with Rhea, and it's gonna be do it all the time. Rhea has really good matches all the time. Becky has really good matches all the time. Her character's good all the time.
Yeah, she's
Charlotte
a
can do that.
lazy. She's like a lazy NBA player in the regular season, NHL player.
Thank you.
Like
That's a good-
there's players who like do so well in the playoffs. You're like, where was that person in the regular season? Collecting a paycheck and understanding they wanted to save their energy for the playoffs. That's where they
Which is
were.
the argument,
And
yeah,
they
that's
think
argument.
they think the players who burn themselves out in the regular season are fools, and they might be right to an extent. In real sports, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, for me, Charlotte has some go-to signature moves that I would just I think it'd be good to have a veteran she respects or a couple of them sit down, watch her matches, and go, I know it's a signature move, but don't do this anymore. It doesn't look good, and let's figure out some things that actually look good.
So can we spell it out? It's the moonsault to the outside of the ring, right?
That's bad.
terrible.
Natural
The float
selection is
over
really
clothesline.
bad.
Natural selection is bad. Sometimes she looks like she's trying to remember how to do a figure four, and she learned it from Miz.
Well, and the clothesline, she just like always like does
Just
the thing, you know, flips up and then just
Yep.
stops and just it just looks so weird.
I mean, Grayson Waller has a dumb like lead up to his move, and I think the same thing. It's all this effort for very little. But Charlotte's is worse.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if Charlotte goes up against Rhea, I'm all for it. Like in the sense of, I think it's going to be a great match, and I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about, I don't know what it's going to be going into it. It's just like two big stars, and Rhea just they're going to make her look like she's not as big. I mean, no, I shouldn't say that. Charlotte will look like a big star, but Rhea just, oh man, the fans love Rhea, and Charlotte needs to turn heel. I think. I mean, I think the face turn was good. I just think she needs to go back heel. Ultimately, she's a better heel, and I think she'll build the good main event matches as a heel. I'm better than you. I'm going to beat you, whatever. And I'm intrigued. I mean, like I said, I just want Liv. My main argument is with Liv. I not her. I just think she's doing great, and they have nothing for her right now. And it's just that just drives me crazy. You have a champion that you build as a champion that you do nothing with them when they win it. It drives me crazy. They did that with Cody. They did that with Rhea. I mean, Rhea has done a little bit since this reign, a little bit more. There's something a little bit there, but her first run was, and then now it's Liv. So I'm curious where they go there. Io is a star, like her, and I would say Raquel too. I want to give her a lot of praise. Raquel's been so good lately. Raquel, I was wrong about her. I didn't think she had it. Honestly, I was very down on her when she first came up to the main roster. And she's won me over. She's a really good heel. Her ring work has gotten so much better. I love what she's doing. I hope she keeps it up because I think she can be a big star in WWE at some point whenever they want to do that. Her against Liv, she beats Liv, whatever. I mean, I think they could do it, and I think it could work. Do you think Raquel could be a champion? I do think she could be at this point.
I think the main thing stopping her just be, has she been defined down over time, or does she have an unconventional look and personality, and I don't know, and that kind of defines her as just something more of a best supporting player. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I do think there's I'm a longtime fan of hers as well. There was some great big versus little action today, but I do think there's a little bit of a spark missing. Her matches seem a little bit slow to me. She should not have gone, speaking of wrestlers who shouldn't do moves, a flying crossbody to start out the match.
I thought it looked good, though. I thought it looked pretty decent. I mean, better than I'm better than Charlotte's, I'll say that. I mean,
just because Big Show could do a drop kick well doesn't mean he should. I don't know. It just doesn't fit what I think a big man or a big woman wrestler should do. So I agree. I'm a big fan. Her match with Rhea last year was just fantastic. It was but I don't see it. But I hope to be proven wrong.
By the way, I would like WWE a few times a year to have on Raw and SmackDown a show where they eliminate a tropey spot that no one's allowed to do, just to get people thinking outside of sort of the rote groove that people fall into. Like, I would like a show that included Seth Rollins and Montez, where no dives to ringside are allowed.
Yeah.
Please.
No, and so you can have a lucha match. No dives to ringside. You can do other things at ringside, but no dives off the ropes or through the ropes. Just to kind of it's I don't know. It's like when you, I don't know, my analogy's not going to hold it, but like when you go on vacation and you don't have all the distractions around you that sort of, oh, this is what I do at this time. This is what I do at this time. And this is now, you don't have, oh, now I do dishes. Now I let the dog out. Now here's where I do a project. Here's where I fix the bed. Here's where I do, like, vacations are cool because it forces you kind of out of that. I don't want to call it a rut because I think routine is healthy and necessary, but vacations feel good, not just because you're somewhere else, but because somewhere else lets you be a different person. And so it forces you out of that. And I wish WWE would force wrestlers to not do certain things. Like there could be, same thing, a booker. Like, okay, we don't get to do, the referee will be entirely competent and never distracted for a whole show. Now let's find a way to tell our story without that. Like, honestly, I just think once every month or two, I think it would strengthen everybody, the wrestlers, the bookers, if they just took something off the table that they lean on too much. Yeah. I mean, so
the one ref or the one match on SmackDown, like the ref just looked so, it was like, oh, this was so weird. I didn't like any of that. I was like, wow.
And by the way, I'd say AEW should do the same thing. Like, I mean, I mean, everybody, it's like, cool. It isn't just a WWE problem. Like again, it's not to be like picky or complaining about it. It's just, I just think it would be a challenge that would be exciting for everybody involved to be like, oh, I can't do that. Okay.
Right.
What am I going to do instead? Yeah, I think it would be healthy.
Yeah. And certain things we just see way too much, like the suicide dive to the outside.
And I write this sometimes. I don't think we should call it a suicide dive. I think suicide is too serious of an issue. I think it's triggering for people, and I think it's tasteless to continue to call it that. I don't ever call it that in my reports now. About once every 6 months, I do a little aside in my reports going, can everyone please stop calling this a suicide dive? I think it's a dumb name, but I also think it's triggering for people who are touched by suicide. I think it's a downer when you're watching a show, and I think it makes light of something that is tragic and serious. And there's just no need to use that term in wrestling anymore. So anyway, mini thought.
Yeah. So what do you call it, Wade? What's the other term for it?
I just describe what happens. I just say she dove through the ropes. She dove over the ropes. He jumped out the top rope and did it. I mean, just describe. I generally just describe the dive rather than assuming people know what the difference is between some of the names that they give it. And what is a suicide? I mean, I don't know. Tope suicide is a move. But when you translate it and you call in English a suicide dive, to me, it just seems like it's gratuitous and kind of triggering. And I think that's like, I don't like to say the word hate. I think hate should be used for like not frivolous things. Like, I think hate, like to me, hate is a word that should be reserved. I don't like the term hater either. Now you got me going. But on English, I think words should have power. And I think when they get overused or used frivolously, it sort of disrespects the gravity of when you should use it. And I kind of, I don't roll my eyes literally, but when people say, I hate this or I hate that, I'm like, do you really? I think we should hate like racism. We should hate government corruption at the highest level. We should hate people not using turn signals when they're driving. That was a laugh line, but it's also true.
Not olives on our hoagies. We shouldn't be hating. We shouldn't be wasting our hate on those, I guess. Huh?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So, Settle Lemon says, to be honest, I never thought about the suicide dive in that sense until you mentioned it. I don't know if that's backing up my thing or saying, no, I don't even think about it that way, so it doesn't count, but or it's not a good point. But
there's so much stuff in wrestling. If you think about it too hard, it doesn't sit well. That makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
Well, a few more things. Where was I? Oh, the stuff with Chad Gable. Definitely liking what they're doing with Chad Gable a lot right now. Actually, you guys were talking about him turning heel right away. No. Oh,
I threw it out there as
I
think Chad probably is better heel than a babyface, personality wise. So I'm a little skeptical that we're not just going to kind of grow bored with him as a babyface. And then there was something last week where I was just like, okay, maybe he's setting people up. But I never thought it was likely. I just was like, what if? I think I kind of framed it that way. Go ahead.
Because I feel like has he not pretty much been a heel ever since he was with before Vince left? think he's always been a heel since then. I don't
Just
think he's
he
ever
and
been.
Jason Jordan were just super.
Yeah, that
joy
was
of
fun. I enjoyed that.
the joy
I
of
mean,
the joy of performance. Chad Gable was wonderful. On a redemption tour. What did he call
So
it?
Vince got him.
Making amends.
Mhm.
I'm a little worried what comes next for him. That's going to be interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean that I'm with you there. I want to at least see this play out because I think him as a face could really work if they tell a good story. I think it could really work. I mean, I don't. It would seem so weird him doing all this, losing the mask, learning about quote unquote how lucha libre works, and really enjoying understanding the art of it, and then just like turning heel again. That's just stupid to me. It wouldn't make any sense.
Oh yeah.
Let it play out. Let's see what they do first for a while. But
it's kind of like rankings in wrestling, though, where it's not going to last because bookers think it's good until they actually have to do rankings every week. I think Chad Gable as a babyface seems like a really good story to tell, and I think in like 2 months we're going to be like, I don't know, that's kind of boring. We'll see. I mean, I would absolutely love to be proven wrong. I mean, like, I'm not rooting for that. I'm just like Chad Gable as a babyface. I don't know what's he's going to have good matches and be a bland mid card guy. Please prove me wrong. But that's kind of real legend in the chat, by the way, goes Chad Gable hooking out of the accolade was great.
Yeah, and the other question relating to that was, I think I understand why they're trying to put Ethan and Rusev together. I want Ethan Page on his own, man. He does not need to be like. Why would he want Rusev to do well anyway? Like I don't. Ethan Page was so good on his own. Like he's the ego. Ethan, they took the ego out of the name, out of the song. Like, come on.
Ethan is obviously manipulating Rusev. He is because in the segments he's like, okay. Rusev, did you not know? He's like, Rusev, you saw what he did. You saw what he did. Like he's using Rusev for his own means, and I think Rusev ends up a babyface feuding with Ethan by the end of this. I think there's a distinct possibility of that
because I just don't. I still keep seeing them together, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want Ethan on his own. Like he's so good. I would have had him win the title. I understand Penta's done a great job. Like it's not against Penta. I just like Ethan Page is so good as a heel right now, man. I would love them to do something with him, and I hope they do here pretty soon because I don't want to go too long and him lose that effect of what he's doing. Go ahead, Paul.
I do think pairing him with Rusev does give us a chance to show his personality in ways that just being on his own, I think, wouldn't. So I think it's gone a lot to sell the character, how weaselly he is, and how he's like, like he's trying to maneuver around Rusev, but he's afraid to stand up to Rusev at the same time. I agree with you. I think he's great. But I do want to mention, I think the big story of Chad Gable tonight is how strong he went over Rusev. No one has gone over Rusev that strong that I can remember.
Oba did. Yeah.
Oba did. All right, fair enough. All right.
Yeah. But I mean,
we never thought Chad Gable was going to be Oba for sure. But he wasn't treating him like it wasn't like a big man, little man match. He was like Mighty Mouse. He was treating him like he was equal size. He started cheating like right away to try to get an advantage on Gable. And even though there was interference, Gable still won out with a tap out, no less. So I think we were intended to be looking at the end of the match, sort of Dragon Lee and Mysterio and their connection with Gable. But the crowd was just so shocked. They were chanting, "You tapped out," because it was a big deal. So I did think it was really impressive and how they just gave a rare, really strong win over Rusev to Gable tonight.
I think you want to look for opportunities to do clean finishes, even if there was a lot of shenanigans surrounding it before and after. Any chance you get, and they don't believe in Rusev enough to make him someone they would never have lose clean to even somebody like Gable, who isn't a clear-cut top guy. So I think it's what you're saying, Paul. It's an endorsement of Gable, but I think it's equally a tell about how they feel about Rusev. Yeah, I think they see Rusev as a second-tier utility guy, and he can afford to lose. And the story with, and also sometimes a heel who's going to turn babyface, if my prediction is right that he's going to snap on Ethan Page, you can afford to have a heel lose clean and route to turning babyface because fans just erase the Etch-a-Sketch. They shake it and go, I don't care what happened in the past. No, he's a good guy. I'm rooting for him. So I think a lot of things might have been at play. I mean, there's a lot of tells with WWE style booking, and when you watch it long enough and make note of it, you won't be right all the time, but there's some good guesses, and I think that's probably whether they're even thinking it through, that's the mindset that goes into them not feeling a natural resistance to letting Rusev lose clean is, well, we're going to turn a babyface, so it doesn't matter. Like, it's just sort of a given. Or, well, we're pushing Gable a little bit more now, and it's a chance to do a clean finish. Like, I think those things kind of run through subconsciously in their head when they're deciding to book it. It's so. Anyway,
yeah.
By the way, a good comment on Chad Gable from 7-Eleven. Chad Gable's huge face moment should have happened at WrestleMania 40 against Gunther. Such a big missed opportunity. I think what's happened, I agree. I mean, there was a moment in time where they could have done more with him. I think some of the same issues that I talk about is what led to them not following up on it. And I think those things are still true today. And I think they still think they're true today, but they're willing to ride the momentum of what went on in AAA to tell a story that I do think in 2 months still is going to land Gable where he was after WrestleMania 40. I mean, I think they see him as somebody who's super talented, like really good in the ring, but being an obnoxious upper mid-card heel is kind of where he's most, quote, entertaining and useful. And I think they'll find a way to go back to that. I'm not sure, but I think, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have big, huge main event star charisma. He does not have that. And
he doesn't have the Brian Danielson type. He doesn't have the Ilya Dragunov thing. They're just, I don't know. I'm a fan of Chad Gable. Like, I mean, I sound like I'm not. I'm just trying to be a realist about what are the promos he cuts, and who are the opponents that are higher than Rusev on the card that they're going to book him as even against. And there's just something about the tonality of his voice and his facial expressions that it's hard to take him seriously as a top tier guy that matches personality wise, that matches how talented he is in the ring. And I don't know if he has it in him to get past that. And it almost feel kind of forced. I've used the, Eric Young example in TNA where he's tried on different personalities, but he just kind of ends up going back to some, cousin of who he was in Team Canada. I mean, it's just, he just kind of ends up in a similar place because there just is something about him that's Eric Young. And I think there's something about Chad Gable that's just Chad Gable. And anyway, not funny. Point made.
Yeah. Then the last thing I'll bring up was I did like the vignettes, with Seth and Braun building up the cage match. I do think that's a big match, for the Saudi Arabia show, which, I mean, it always sucks on a Saudi Arabia show, but that's a whole nother thing. But I think they built to it well. I think with Seth, I'm with everyone. I get the thing with Seth, with the song and everything. I mean, I'm with you guys on that. I've said that the whole time too. I just wish he had gotten rid of the song when he turned heel, and they never did. And then, I like the story they've told with, Montez, like him trying to build trust back with people. Like when Seth is really digging into his character and really tries to build into that, I mean, I do want to get behind him. In this feud, I do, it hurt last week, Wade, you brought it up when he just, said all the same things he says in his interview backstage. And it's like, what is he really saying? Like, it's just kind of, the same thing. But when he does have that serious edge, I mean, there's something there, and he's a star for a reason. I mean, he has an edge to him. He could make you feel something and want to get behind him. I just wish he would do it more often. But I hope this match is maybe a start to that. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I just think they need to be going somewhere with Braun. I mean, I think Braun I know they had to put the tag team title on him, but the Vision, like I said, I would just rather them. Go away sounds so harsh, but I just feel like Logan can be a heel on his own with Theory, and they don't have to be the Vision. They can just be Logan and Austin Theory. I don't know if Braun has to be with them. It almost, as good as Logan is, it makes Braun feel less than when he's a tag team champion with Austin Theory. It makes you feel, as much as I like Austin Theory, it makes you feel a little less than. So I hope they have something big playing with Braun. But what did you think about the vignette? Like,
Yeah. So with Seth, I think what we got with the vignette was a scripted, edited version of Seth Rollins with other people keeping him from cliches and losing himself in crowd adulation. I think this was an example of a disciplined, scripted, detail work from somebody else going, okay, Seth, what we're going to do is talk about bringing Braun Breaker into your vision. And I tried to give him the world, but he took the world from him. Yeah. This is very much written by somebody. and Seth was reading a script for a vignette, and that's why it was different. And there were aspects that I liked that you're pointing out, Sean. There were aspects that felt like, oh, someone wrote this for Seth, and now they're overly people don't talk like that. I gave you the world, and you took the world from me. Yeah, I mean, if you're writing in your diary at night about some friend or person you're dating, I gave them the world and they took the world from me. Like, that's what somebody writes in their journal at 11 o'clock at night or 10 or 9:30, and they dot their I's with a heart. That's not how Seth Rollins would probably talk. So to me, it was kind of corny, but it was also refreshing at the same time for the reasons you say, because he wasn't leaning into some of his tropes and cliches. I'd like there to be another world. I thought it was weird to have Seth in a vignette challenge Braun, and half hour, an hour later, have Braun with a heavily produced vignette answering the challenge as if it's a match that's already been booked. That was a little corny, but not a huge. It wasn't egregious, but I wish that had been established that the match was made, and then they each talked about it rather than Braun rebutting Seth, and somehow the production team turned it into this needlessly, excessively glossy presentation. But it's my Cody Roman Georgia Stadium thing. It's just like, come on, just tone it down. Sometimes it's just too much. Go ahead, Paul.
I have a couple points. So
yes,
as scripted as Seth sounded, Breaker sounded unhinged, like he had an idea and he couldn't quite get it out. And I thought his comment was so funny that I wrote it down. He said, the thing, Seth, about being locked in a cage with a dog is that in the end, the dog always makes it out. What?
What is that?
I did think about that too. I tried to think, what is that? What does he mean by that? But again, it's like he's not saying that; it's somebody else saying that for him.
What he should have said is 1 + 1. No, plan on Brock and Scott. I don't know.
Please, nobody get out of the cage. Please, nobody interfere in the cage. Please, come on.
Oh yeah,
I don't think it's a give. I don't think it's like a thing. If you walked up to 100 people on the street and said, "Hey, if you get in a fight with a dog in a cage, what comes to mind?" Oh, the dog always gets out. Like no, not a single person would say that as a thing that is just a given when you are in a cage with a dog.
Oh, Paul, you're making me hate this even worse now.
Sorry. But the other thing was that Breaker was speaking truth before he said that.
You're right.
He said, in the vision, you're trying to make it like you were handing me the world or whatnot or doing this for me. He's like, it was all about you. And I think we were all along for the ride, and we can agree that Breaker was right.
Totally.
So bad.
Seth is not the Seth's character, Seth's storylines. They're not top level. You can break them down. There's a lot of cliches. I mean, I don't want to overuse the term low IQ. Like, I think John Cena, I tried to say more in a nuanced way, had one of the lowest IQs of top guys when it comes to his wrestling mind and understanding the business. Somehow he made a bunch of money, and he's on all these hot commercials, and he's better at acting than in movies than he was as a wrestler. But I mean, they're just dumb self-centered, and I'm not alone in thinking that. I mean, I've talked to people who know Cena well, who have said, Wade, you've collected enough data to have a really good handle on what people can't say publicly about him because he's too powerful, but there's a lot of whatever. That's a whole other topic. But with Seth, similar things are said. He is not looked to as a sage veteran who you would go to go, hey, I'm trying to get myself over, my character over, and add some nuance and layer into this story. Can you help me? Nobody go to Seth for that. That's not his strength. And I think it comes through sometimes. And it's like it's not so much that this was bad for both Braun and Seth. It's that what we heard from Seth and Braun tonight reveals how flawed Seth's character is. It's more of a reveal that doesn't add to the problem. It just unzips and opens up the duffel bag of problems. Like, oh yeah, Seth's character is so not making amends for the past that the heels speak truth about him when they talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I liked where they were going with the whole Montez thing. Like, I've lost trust with people. Like, I mean, that's why I liked where they were going that different route. But then they just kind of go, because Braun, I think Braun's developing a character. I think he's had some good promos. Like, I think he's on the right track. I mean, it's a slow process because he, wasn't a good promo at the beginning, so he's had to work on it. But I think he's getting better. Just Paul, that cracked me up when he said it. I was like, because I was thinking that, like, what the heck does that even mean? Like,
That's good.
you were fine and you're spitting, but it was fine, and then all of a sudden, ooh, like, okay, I don't know where that went, but you know.
But I like his second point just as much. I mean, when he says Seth preyed on other people to help him achieve glory just for himself, everyone's nodding along like that's the babyface promo against the heel Seth. Why are you underlining things that are true that Seth has no intellectually honest rebuttal to? I gave you the world and you took the world from me. What? You didn't? You glommed promos. There was no chemistry. You wanted them to be your henchmen. I mean, it's just like what Seth needs to do is admit all that and say, no, I'm different, not try to reframe it and gaslight us. And Braun shot a spotlight on that. All right, Sean, anything else quick? I want to wrap up the show here quick.
Nope. I'm excited to hear Nick interview the author of the book. When you and Jason get on the flagship, I mean, even though he did put me over, I appreciate that, but I love to hear it regardless if he puts me over or not. It's always fun conversation back and forth. So I'm excited to hear it, and I'll get back in the chat and listen to the end here. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Always good talking to you. All right. Paul, we've got an email I also want to get to. Let me bring that up here. Hold on while I try to find my place here. Okay, here we are. Nicholas from Massachusetts says, I'm not sure what WWE has done differently since Backlash, but Raw has been so much better than the rest of 2026. It once again feels like a Paul Levesque show with coherent storylines, attention to detail, and good matches. The mid-card has really drawn me in. I tune in specifically to see Oba every week. I look forward to seeing what Ethan Page is doing. Even Penta, who I've not been a fan of, has won me over lately. I've been legitimately interested in King of the Ring for the first time in years. This reminds me of the late 90s when Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Rob Van Dam, and Kurt Angle were tearing it up on the mid-card. In fact, the only thing I'm not completely into is a Bloodline. It still feels like a sequel to me where they swap Fatu for Sammy. He's the odd man out who doesn't quite fit, and Roman is using Fatu to mess with the Usos now, just like he did with Sammy. There's not enough of a difference so far for me to feel invested in it yet. It really, though, feels like WWE's back on track after a couple of years of going off the rails. Whatever change they made to the writing is working, and I'm back to looking forward to Raw every week. Big picture, Paul, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think there's been an absence of irritants in recent weeks, and I think that the King of the Ring has kept everyone guessing in a really positive way. I was pleased that we only got one screw job finish tonight. That's a good sign. So I like his optimism. I'm not sure I share all of it, but I agree with the sentiment. It's been a good show lately.
I get the similarities with the Bloodline. To the first version, but if all you say is we're going to recreate the Bloodline, I think Jay is more unhinged or hot-headed. I think Jay has more confidence. Confidence is where I'm looking for. He has more. There's something about Jay that had where he isn't just trying to win approval, but he's acting like he has won approval. Like there's, my vocabulary is failing me or my mind is tired. In terms of there's something about him now that feels a little bit evolved and a little bit more dangerous. Jimmy feels like a more developed, mature version of what we saw. Roman has been through a lot, so there's some references, and he's getting cheered in a way that he hadn't been prior to the original Bloodline run. And then Jacob and Sammy are just like really, really, really different. And so if all you said is Jimmy J and Roman are the same, but we're dropping a new guy who's Jacob Fatu and Sammy, I mean, it's like, okay, well, that's going to be different now because Jacob's going to react differently than Sammy did. He is he's like, I don't know if he's a polar opposite on a.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah. So, yeah, that to me, that is, that's enough for me. But as for the rest of Nicholas's points, yeah, I mean, this feels fresh. Ethan Page is a really good mid-card personality. There is an undercard that, I think should be given. I mean, there's one 10-minute match in the first hour of Raw, and I understand. And a lot of it was not, I mean, if you're in the building tonight, you got a lot of video packages and commercials and a lot of looking at a big screen. Yes, you got a big Roman segment at the start, Star Power. one match. But when the bell rang for the second match, you're in hour number 2. There wasn't a lot going on in front of those fans. And I mean, I'm not in denial of what Raw is, and that audience members are props to help the TV show. The show is not to serve them. But I think you got to be cognizant of working good wrestling into a 2.5 hour show, because they have a mid-card now that, as Nicholas says, I think people are invested in and excited for. And Dragunov's not even around right now. Like there's people who aren't even active who can be. So, but I think there's enough personalities where you can justify giving them more ring time. And Gable and Rusev kind of filled that spot later in the show. Trying to think if there's something else in his email I wanted to. Paul, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. I just want to mention I am with you. I'm surprised there's been a lot of people are concerned about the bloodline, or concerned that it's not going to go well. And I wasn't the biggest fan in the past, but I thought it was good. And the fact that they're doing this well without Paul Heyman, Rude Dog brought up that Paul Heyman is absent, and that's another big difference as well. So
that's true. That's huge. That actually is a testament to the growth of Jimmy J and Roman as performers, that they don't need Heyman, especially for Reigns to play off of. Reigns is, I'm trying to think of like a rock band analogy, like where they were, kind of it's like Hall and Oates, and now Oates is gone and Hall's got to carry it. Like, although that's not great because Oates wasn't Mr. Charisma. I'm trying to think of who was like really charismatic in a duo. Simon and Garfunkel. I don't know, like who went solo. Garfunkel wasn't Mr. Charisma. Do people know who they are anymore?
And people know who Paul Simon is, I think. But
maybe.
Yeah,
but I don't. I don't know this Eric Andre guy, but apparently,
not having Paul is such a big difference, and I haven't missed him that much. And I agree. I think it's a real testament to how far these guys have come.
All right, Derek Mitchell had a super chat earlier. But so I don't forget the name of the book, by the way, you can order it. But another small pet peeve of mine is when a book comes out, you don't have to just say it's on Amazon. There are tons of places you can buy books that are not supporting just that company. And I'm not speaking out for or against them, but there's something to be said for like trying to spread it out a little bit. And I know you've got your Prime membership and all that, but there are, just look up online independent booksellers and support them. A lot of them can get you a hard copy book. There are other ways to get ebooks through Barnes & Noble, through Nook, and all of that. So it's just everyone goes, just buy it on Amazon. Just say you can get it online and look around to support other small companies. You can do that for a lot of things. However, this book is available on Amazon, but it's also available in Barnes & Noble. It's also available through independent booksellers, probably. Like most books, but it's called I Am Your Champion, The Life and Death of Wrestler Gino Hernandez by Lizzie Flanagan. Really fun interview, an hour long with Nick Barbetti. That's coming up tomorrow on the flagship. You can, as a VIP member, you can hear the interview already. It's been up since June 9th. So we're going on almost a week that it's been up. And it's a real fun interview. And there's so much about that world-class championship wrestling era that I just love to talk about and love to learn about. And I'm looking forward to reading her book. Gary Hart's book is hard to get, and it's worth a lot of money. You have to pay a lot to get a copy of it because there's limited prints. I mean, people sell it for hundreds of dollars online because it had very limited run. But the world-class era is fascinating, and this is a book in that category covering that same thing. All right, so to the super chat from Derek Mitchell, there's moving on to the other topic. I know people try to separate the artist from the art or the person from politics. Seeing Paul Levesque and Roman at the UFC White House event in my hometown of D.C. rubbed me the wrong way being in bed with the Trump administration. I noted in my written report on Raw tonight that I thought it was notable. I mean, let's go back 12 years. This whole tragic nonsense con man being elected twice, and all the disgrace and utter destruction and all this that is undeniably. I understand. I understand. He's good at. I mean, Dutch Mantel talked to me about how like. he was doing the anti-Hispanic character, and Trump walked up to him at WrestleMania and said, "That's really interesting what you did out there." That was like the germ of this whole idea of market yourself to get all the, all the white people who are, all the white men over age 40 or whatever who want to demonize an enemy for the problems of, technology changing and it's scary. Trump saw that character and was like, I'm going to ruin the world by running on president on that. And that's what he wanted to do.
So we the people changed the world? Really?
I mean, his dad was a racist. It's not like he decided to be racist because of him, but I think that character and the way the crowd responded to it, and Dutch said it to me. I mean, Dutch is kind of pro-Trump, which is weird. From what I don't know if he still is, but he certainly was at times. But he fits the demographic. But nevertheless, what I thought was, if we go back 12 years, pre-imagining this reality show fraud of a joke in New York, who nobody thought was successful, who, the actual rich people in New York didn't think he was successful. They thought he was a glory hound who was absurd. He'd call up reporters and pretend to be a different person. He was his own publicist, and he would have a silly voice, and everyone laughed at him, and somehow became the most powerful and destructive person in American history, in modern American history. So anyway, I'll stop with that and just make my point.
And pro wrestling was his education to a large degree.
Yeah. There's a lot of parallels. And so 12 years ago, if you had said there's going to be a 250th anniversary celebration on the White House lawn, you don't have to even say it's a UFC fight. You could, but you don't have to include it. It could be, but Vince is going to be forced into retirement. We won't tell you why. You have to live life to find out. But Paul Levesque and the current top star of the company, Roman Reigns, you might have heard of him, they're going to be at that 250th anniversary. They're going to be shown on television attending this event. And the next day, WWE's not going to mention it or show it. What does that tell you? So I get Derek's point. I mean, 100%. And I know there's people who are anti-Trump who are very disappointed, and people in WWE who are pro-Trump, and some people just care about taxes and they don't care about minorities being separated from their families and their pets and being shipped off to countries that imprison them. Whatever. We can go on a whole list of awful corruption and grifting and horrible things in ICE and all that. That's just inexcusable. Awful policies, and Fox News just propagandizing all of this to create an alternate universe of untruth that makes people think something is happening that's not. So with all that said, WWE is self-aware enough to know, we ought not brag about this. It's a TKO, UFC is owned by TKO is a parent company. So they're invited. He can't say no. Paul Levesque's mother-in-law is in the administration. He's a Trump supporter, last we heard. And Roman, I think, showed he's no CM Punk when it comes to, this kind of thing. He's not, he's certainly not a critic of aspects of all this. So they're there, they're shown, and I'm like, when are they going to tout it? They now know a guy with a 32 or 35 or 36% approval rating who can't stay awake at a UFC fight, is disintegrating physically and mentally before our very eyes. And has, as many people have put together, a farcical take on the Iran war, and it's over, it's not, we have a deal, we don't have a deal. I mean, he's just, if you actually are reading real news and not propaganda, it's just a farce. And people even who are sort of still supporting him out of sunk cost fallacy or because they have too much pride, kind of, I think more and more people are seeing it. I think this is a tell of that. Like, I think WWE's like, we can't market that they were there because it'll be such a turnoff for the majority of people and the majority of our fans who see this for what it is. Now, that's whatever. I'm not even going to get into reviewing the UFC fight. Todd Martin, I certainly will talk about that. Bridge fan, I'll talk about it. Jason and I'll talk about it on the flagship, but I'm not going to hear. But going to Derek's comment, I think them appearing there, it was like, oh, man. But I get it. It's a TKO event. There are two top names from TKO, Paul Levesque's mother-in-law in the administration, Roman not running from it. He certainly could have said, I'm busy. He didn't. So it is revealing in that sense. And kind of makes you a little sad that even at this stage, like, he'd want to be seen at that on camera. But it is what it is. But the fact that did I miss it, Paul? They didn't They didn't mention it or tout it.
Nope,
Because sometimes I speak
not a
through a
peep.
commercial break, and I'm wondering, did I miss it as a bumper? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, would we have believed that would not have been mentioned on WWTV? They'd be shouting it from the mountaintops at any other point in history, I think.
Yeah. Yep. 7-Eleven says, talk about turning Reigns heel. That would do it. And Derek says, thanks, Wade. I appreciate your perspective and taking the time because it is valued by me. Swole said he was awake the whole time. Actually, I had Trump cam the whole time. I don't know. There was a fight going on 10 feet in front of him, and he had a hat on, and he was looking down. And I don't know. Maybe he was looking at a monitor. But Trump hasn't stayed awake that long for anything. And that was... so I don't know what you were watching.
Goodness.
Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else. 7-Eleven says, how long before you get a PLE at the White House? Capital punishment too. I don't know about that.
So do you know, do UFC fans skew right and wrestling fans skew left? That's my gross impression.
Yeah. UFC is its fan base is more right-leaning and pro wrestling fans. WWE did the SmackDown the Vote campaign until they realized they were encouraging people who voted Democrat to go vote in larger numbers, and then they stopped that campaign. But yeah, there is not an intellectually honest, decent defense for Donald Trump and what he's done. I mean, I just there's nothing I'm more certain of in life than that. And I think there's good people who need to expand who they're listening to and where they're getting their news if they think anything else. I mean, it's so self-evident that he is corrupt and a grifter and a con man, and to not see it at this point is just disqualifying. I'm sorry for anybody listening right now, but it is disqualifying in so many respects if you're not seeing that at this point. But Goodfellas says, Wade, I think you're exaggerating the people that see it for what it is, unfortunately. Well, his poll numbers are lower than they've ever been, although that's more probably due to the economy than all the grifting and corruption and cruelty. But yeah. Anyway. All right. I saved that for last because I knew it'd be like, it's been a while since I got to go off on that, but but you know, I don't think playing middle ground on being neutral, and I'm an independent. I don't have to worry about my boss or my corporate company telling me not to say something. So I just don't feel right. I think people see people they look at, they admire or think are good people or normal people, and hopefully I'm seen by people who watch and listen to me as a reasonably decent, good person who follows things close enough. If we just act like, oh, it's just politics is normal and we just disagree on tax policy, it's like, it's not that. It's not. I don't even like saying, oh, it's politics. It's not. It's so I feel like if we go through life acting like things are just normal, it actually normalizes a level of corruption, grifting, and conning and disgraceful cruelty that everybody should be speaking up more often. Not like this is at the end of a show at the 2-hour mark. I'm not going to lead with this all the time. It's not a politics show, but it is a pertinent question from Derek. It is a reason it's a portal to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know it makes some people uncomfortable, but I know people who were very uncomfortable when ICE agents were causing the men of the family to hide in basements because they didn't want to be shipped out of the country when they were productive citizens who were wonderful people who and unconstitution and just disregard of the Constitution that my grandpa took a bullet for in World War II. It's personal to me. So, so I'm going to speak up about it every now and then when it crosses into that realm, and this did. And shame on Roman Reigns. He could have said no. And it's a tell that he didn't. Paul Levesque, I get he's a head of a company. He's like, but Roman could have been like, my kid's got something, and who's going to force him? So he stood there and he smiled. And to me, that smile endorses a lot of things that I think are shameful.
Yeah, I think even those who support Trump, I think most of them know he's a deeply, deeply immoral man, and perhaps some people like having a weapon to punish the rest of the world, and they see him as that, rather than being a force for good.
Yeah. Derek says, again, thank you for having the courage of your convictions and not kowtowing like so many others do. I truly respect your willingness to stand by your principle. Standard Deviation said, history shows you speaking the truth in real time, Wade. Rude Dog says, Todd Martin would disagree. You're a decent person, Wade. Swole says, Roman likes USC. That's not a bad thing. You can like USC from the privacy of your own home, not in the White House lawn, at something that is a birthday celebration for a president who has done awful, horrible, corrupt, cruel, and incompetent things. But remember, his favorite Bible verse is, or do you like the Old Testament or New Testament better? Oh, both, because he doesn't know a thing about the Bible. All you people who go to church and support him, he can't tell you the first thing about anything in the Bible. He's a con man, and you're suckers.
He has his own Bible. Wait, are you kidding?
Oh,
Didn't
God.
you know that?
It just blows my mind that like religious people are behind him.
Yeah, I like all the verses equally.
Yes, but all right. I'm done.
All right.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go VIP if you want to get a lot of cool stuff that you're not getting as a non-VIP member. Full details available if you go to pwtorch.com/govip, pwtorch.com/govip. Thanks, Paul. Always fun having you on the show.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Wade.
You bet. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Yeah, drop a like. Goodfellow says, drop a like. Swole says, I hit like. So, yeah, like the show, comment on it. Cool stuff, solid hashtag. Someone should ask him if he likes the Third Testament as well. There we go. Eric Moy says, thanks, Wade and Paul. Derek says, great post show. Hope everyone has a great evening. I second that. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.